Young, who you know very, very well, as you're trying to have his career blossom even more amazingly already. And he was vocal, if I'm not mistaken, active in some of the protesting that went down.
Yeah, out in Norman, his hometown. He spoke of doing that with a family member and really just doing something that he's never done before. It's out of his comfort zone, but having the courage and the bravery to do it. And here you see him again joining forces with the other athletes to represent City of Atlanta and the voter suppression issues that we have. You talk about young players, and you talk about all our young players, and couldn't be more proud of our guys, our players. You're seeing J.J. Redick speak out, Kyle Korver speak out, LeBron James speak out, Trae Young speak out, Donovan Mitchell speak out. You're seeing Jaylen Brown drive 15 hours to get to Atlanta to protest, and Malcolm Brogdon. Proud of our guys, proud of our league, proud of our guys really stepping to the forefront. And it's our job now as coaches, guys that are supposed to lead these guys, to support them and to encourage them. And this is going to help, for me personally, Trae's growth, his development, to use his voice, to use his platform purposely.
Yeah, I think does he need to work on his horse game a little bit? If I recall that a few weeks ago.
Well, Chauncey's pretty good. They don't call him Mr. Big Shot for
nothing. Right? I didn't see.
That's a tough first round matchup.
Hey, he definitely got the poor draw. He got the poor draw.
His first matchup is Mr. Big Shot. Man, that's a tough draw.
But I do love his game. I do love Trae's game. No doubt about it. He's one of the more dynamic players in this league and exciting players in this league. I mean, when the Hawks do get back out there, Coach, what is defense? Obviously, has been a subject of conversation, as you know, in your world over the last 24 hours. Your bailiwick, if you will, from your time with Philadelphia. Where do you stand on that subject right here, Lloyd, bringing that to your attention?
To me, it's mindset. I think when we have that commitment and we have that we mentality, you see in The Last Dance, and really educational to watch that Michael Jordan shifting and really adopting this we mentality and getting his guys and rallying his guys and trusting his guys. When we're that way and we have the mindset to be that way and we have the mindset that we're no longer player development and youth isn't an excuse, all of the things are going to come together. Our offense needs to improve. Our defense needs to improve. Our approach needs to improve. And so it's our mindset. We're going to shift our mindset. We're going to work on that, and we're going to do it together. And I look forward to our group next year.
I love how you mentioned The Last Dance like that, Coach, because I had, again, just I guess to bring it full circle here with Rick Carlisle, because he was on the bench as an assistant for Larry Bird and those Pacer teams that were prominently displayed in the last couple episodes of The Last Dance, as well as a member of the Knicks who had to deal with Jordan at the end of the 80s as he was ascending to his greatness. I asked him what he learned from it, and he kind of laughed. And he talked about how, one thing, Phil Jackson, how Phil, he gained even more respect for Phil for what Jackson had to weave together and put everything together. And then he also talked about the mindset and how today's players need to heed, I guess, the mindset about being about the rings. Would you agree with that?
It's unfortunate that we got away from that. I don't know, in sport, the ultimate is winning. It's all about, the journey and getting through to get that last victory. And, when we got away from that, I don't know. I don't know who or how, but, that's important. I think we're all going to have accolades. We're all going to have success from sport in our own individual ways. Me being a head coach, wow, that's great. I want to win. I want to be known as a guy that was able to turn this program around and became a championship contender for many years and get that victory here for the city of Atlanta. And so, that's the mindset our league has to adopt and our players. And we're going to do it individually with our own teams, but that's it. There's nothing else. We can talk about everything. That's it. It's about winning, and how do we get to doing it together. That's the we mentality that we have to have. I enjoy the journey. I enjoy the process, and we're going to focus on that the entire time. But the end game is getting that ring.
Yeah, I guess maybe you won't have to deal like Phil did with a player wanting to go to Vegas in the middle of the year or WWE in the middle of a championship. It is amazing.
Listen, if a guy needs that break and he's that much of a contributor, I got to adjust, and it works for Phil. He's got 6 of them. if someone needs that trip to Miami for the weekend, we'll have to make do. That's
Go
the
for it.
mentality. Somebody else needs to step up.
I guess so. Hey, Lloyd, I appreciate the time. Let's continue. Let's continue talking. I really appreciated this conversation, and we now are showing your Instagram post of your face, and what it really again means is truly remarkable. And I'm glad that we brought you on the show to bring this to everybody's attention if they needed it anymore. And I'd love to continue you being on this show as a platform dialogue, and obviously as the Hawks begin to get back into action and win some games.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I've told everyone that I've spoken to, you wanting to have me on is even more important to keep this conversation going and keep this dialogue going. So I appreciate you for that.
My pleasure. Let's do it again. Thanks, Coach. That's
Thank you.
Lloyd Pierce, the head coach of the Atlanta Hawks, here on the Rich Eisen Show. That Instagram photograph really moved me, and obviously the accompanying copy. When we come back here on the show, your phone calls, 844-204-RICH, number to dial. The Hawks not one of the teams going to Disney World, but there is news as to who might be going to Disney World and how long they have to stay there, and that's part of our poll question, as well as what Jimmy Johnson had to say yesterday on this show. We'll revisit that in a moment. Okay, so to our folks out there in the wormhole, do I need to apologize for technical difficulties? If that's
a little
going
bit.
On?
We should be back good now.
We
had a little audio kind of video lag issue, but hit the restart.
Okay.
We fix it.
It was like Nintendo cartridges. We had to blow on the cartridge a little bit and try again.
I thought that's a Sega Genesis situation.
It was
all of them. Yeah.
So we say to our folks in the wormhole, we appreciate your patience. And those who did hear us in hour one and just stick around here in hour two, we're going to change up our poll question because it was just kind of all over the map.
I just wanted to do a Goodfellas
I know,
thing.
but we can still have, sometimes we go back and forth just to show you how the sausage gets made, lifting the hood of this high-powered machine called the Rich Eisen Show.
V12, Mike.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
This is
Just take a look at the engine. It's a beautiful, beautiful device.
What am I in that engine?
I don't know.
A piston?
Again,
You're the
who did I tell this to the other?
fluid.
Who did I tell this to the other day? What former? It was Reese Davis when he was on, right? And he said he did an RPM tonight every now and then because they're like, let's get the guy who went to Alabama with the Southern accent and put him out there and talk NASCAR. And he didn't really know that much about it. And I'm like, well, I'm the fifth. I was the New York Jewish kid who needs to call AAA to change a tire. Like, so, I did in fact say that at the top of the one episode of RPM Tonight that I hosted. I always walk through the front door.
You did one.
One episode of RPM Tonight. Kenny Mayne did most of them. At any rate, there's two ways to go with something like the Goodfellas.
Right.
50th anniversary, God, may rest his soul. Billy Batts is passing. Is that we could make it a poll question or just a conversation to call to action or just, that sort of thing.
Of course.
I think we're just going to have it as a conversation piece.
Great. Obviously one of our favorite movies. So.
It is one of, because you can't just say what's your favorite scene from Goodfellas. There truly is like 90 of them, all strung together to make one of the greatest films of all time. And in my mind, Scorsese's finest. And that's saying a lot. But as I told my friend Marty when I saw him in London, hey Marty, you mind if we take a selfie?
Rich.
Yeah.
That's still a great
I
story.
did it.
I would have done it with all of them.
So we're going to change the poll question, and I like the poll question. I'm a fan of this poll question, not because I came up with it in the hallway in between hours 1 and 2.
It's nice though.
But I think it's right in the.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
I think it's
Rich,
right up Del Tufo's alley as well.
Of course.
It's up Del Tufo's alley a little bit here. So we'll have that conversation and get Jimmy Johnson's soundbite ready from yesterday.
Again. Got it.
And I think we've got all our ducks in a row for the next segment prior to Matt Rhule joining us on NBCSN. Let's next. Podcast One, all 3 hours of the Rich Eisen Show. You can listen to it on demand, everybody. On demand at Podcast One, podcastone.com/Rich Eisen. Lots of housekeeping here. Let's get to some housekeeping here on NBC SN. I'll repeat here the way I started the show atop our first hour with 2 words I don't think I've ever started a show with, Chris, right?
Oh, definitely not.
I don't think, correct? You didn't know where I was going when
I had
started
no
the show
idea.
at the very top.
I had a thought, but it's definitely not where you went.
And the 2 words I exclaimed with such excitement that usually isn't associated with this name, or unless you've struck it, Rich, that I was so excited. Should I exclaim it with the same passion, the same excitement?
I think so, yeah.
Here we go.
Come correct.
Charles Schwab! I say Charles Schwab. A different inflection. Charles Schwab. That's the way an NBA arena announcer would.
Oh, if he had just made a 3-pointer or something, or
just being introduced.
yeah. It was aggressive.
Oh, the markets are tanking right now, so nobody's saying its name.
No one's.
With,
no one's.
With such brio.
It's more like bleeping Charles Schwab.
Hold on. Hang on. Except for those who are excited about the return of the sport of golf. And I'm not just talking about, a little bit of fun for charity. Nay, this is a real competition. This is going down right now. And when I say down, I mean in a good way. Charles Schwab going down right now. This is the good version of it.
Yeah, the good version of it.
We're talking about the Charles Schwab Challenge. Or I'm looking on the PGA site. It's not the Charles Schwab Challenge. It's just Charles Schwab Challenge.
It's like Eagles.
It's Charles Schwab looking at the faces of professional golfers and saying, you challenge yourselves. No fans, but it's going down.
It is going down right now. Some low scores.
Oh, really? What do we have right now?
Well, Justin Rose still leads. He's got 1 hole left. He's 7 under.
Yep.
But Jonathan Vegas, or Vega, however we pronounce it, in the clubhouse at 64.
Okay.
Brian Harmon in at 65. DeChambeau also 5 under. He's got a hole left. Abraham Answer, 6 under.
Nice. Bryson DeChambeau. My question here is, and we'll ask Rich Lerner of the Golf Channel. He joins us in our final hour. Brooks Koepka.
Looking good.
Who, you want to talk about.
He tees off
coming
in
out
about 45 minutes.
All right. He's coming out of quarantine. He really let himself go. And by let himself go, I think maybe 1 less rep of a bicep. And
is he looking swole?
I'm just wondering again, because we're all we take nothing for granted anymore when it comes to live sports. Like we're whatever. The only thing we're seeing right now in sports that we don't miss is the argument between Major League Baseball and its players. That sort of stuff we could do without. But when it comes to live sports, it's like anything that we were either bitching or moaning or complaining about, it's just like that goes out the window because we are excited for the return of sports, live sports. I'm wondering if Brooks Koepka feels that way about Bryson DeChambeau's pace of play. Like he does not care if he's standing. You said he hasn't teed off yet, so it's not his problem right now. But at some point this weekend, it may be his problem with him standing in the middle of the fairway, and DeChambeau is taking his 15th look from a 19th different angle of a 2-foot gimme, something that's within.
He would do.
It's like it's a gimme.
He would do.
You would tell him in competition otherwise to pick it up. Right. Or it's inside the leather, but let's one more look from the 19 millionth angle. It's 5 minutes in. Like, would Koepka even just say, you know what, I even missed this. I didn't know at the time when I was steaming and everything's coming out of my ears. I didn't even know how much I missed this until I'm standing in the middle of the fairway. Where I gotta go? I'm quarantined. I'm sheltered in place. What else do I have to do? I wonder if even Koepka has that approach. Do I ask that of Rich Lerner later on?
I think you kind of have to.
Can't wait.
Koepka doesn't even practice.
What do you mean?
He only practices during major weeks. So I don't even know how much golf he's played during this quarantine.
Come on.
He's just showing up ready to rock. Mustache, looks like Super Mario.
He does, right? I saw that.
Let's go.
And by the way, just, I just thought like, hey, he's excited to come back, and he just posts a picture of himself smiling. Not like him with his trophies or anything like that.
Well, he wasn't flexing on anyone with his major trophies.
You're right. Like he did on Tom Brady, right? During that whole thing. Oh, man. So
look at his mustache.
Rich Lerner's joining us later on the show. Okay, Matt Rhule will be joining us in about 13 minutes' time as well from the Carolina Panthers. Lloyd Pierce, I didn't bring up, hey, where are you with your team right now? Because the Hawks are one of the few teams that have not been invited to Disney World because they were so far out. They weren't one of the teams in the Eastern Conference. As we all know, only one team outside of the top 8 in the Eastern Conference were invited. That's the Washington Wizards. Only 9 Eastern Conference teams were invited. So that leads to our poll question of the day because according to the Daily Beast, this is a fascinating article. Did you see this, Christopher?
I saw a headline.
According to the Daily Beast, the Professional Basketball Writers Association sent a memo to its membership to say that in the same way that the NFL is tiering people who have access to facilities, Tier 1 are players and people who have contact with players. Tier 2 is just a bunch of front office folk who might have an ability to get around or so on and so forth. There's going to be 2 tiers of reporters that the NBA is contacting with the Professional Basketball Writers Association to cover this upcoming season. Tier 1, you're allowed inside the bubble. Tier 2 is if you don't want to be allowed inside the bubble, you can come to some games, but you will not have face-to-face access to players. And this is interesting. This is all in a memo that was included, that was labeled, quote, an off-the-record communication not to be reported on in any form. That got leaked.
So weird that got leaked to the press.
That one made me laugh out loud when I read this. Like,
that's
reporters,
strange.
you're not allowed to report on this. Leaking it, But the way that you are allowed in to be with the players and get that access is you must, once you show up, agree to be sealed into this bubble community for all 3.5 months.
Oh,
you got to say goodbye to the spouse and the kids, and you got to say goodbye to you've got to be locked in.
Dude.
So I thought with the NBA having a choice, apparently, reportedly, to create a bubble world in either Disney World or Las Vegas, Nevada, I throw this to you, Chris Brockman, to open up to our @Rich Eisen show followers. Please do follow us. And those in the NBCSN, YouTube / SiriusXM audience that care to vote @Rich Eisen show on the poll question, you now have the floor.
It's fantastic. Where would you rather be quarantined for 3.5 months? 3.5 months. Disney World, Las Vegas.
3.5 months.
Now, before you answer,
yes,
just think about 3.5 days is forever in Las Vegas.
Dude, if you show up to Vegas and you're like, I've got this budget. I've got this budget that I've already spent on getting there. And I know I'm going to spend on staying there. And I know part of staying there will include, we'll splurge for a nice restaurant.
Yeah, I mean,
yep.
Of course.
Maybe see a show.
Go see a show.
Play a round of golf.
Hang out.
Come out to the...
So you got all of that. Then there is, from what I recall, prior to being a National Football League employee, what you might stash aside for
extracurricular.
What do they call it? A game of chance?
Yes.
Playing some odds?
Yes.
A little bit.
I do recall prior to my National Football League employee status, a particular room in these houses of chance on which you could say, I prefer one team over another team.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
mhm.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And
mhm.
that team I actually prefer to lose if it can lose by a certain margin of difference.
Uh-huh. That's a fact.
I actually earn on somebody that does not win, right? Is that, again, my memory is hazy. I turned into the unfrozen caveman lawyer when these terms come up. They confuse me. Putting it all together, you place that money aside. Let's say you show up with that cash. You're saying, I'm going to go do this. And you lose it, say, in the first hour of showing up.
It's a long
3.5 hours in Las Vegas, Nevada feels too long on occasion.
You have to pace yourself.
But Disney World, there are different places to go, different things to do.
Frozen ride.
But after 3.5 months of that, that passport isn't just for fun. It's for get me the hell out of here. It's a small world after all. You know what I'm saying? Which, by the way, I know this may be going out on a limb here, and I know that many people might have a big problem on anything that I've just said. This is the hottest take. It's a small world after all is, in fact, the greatest ride in either Disney park or any Disney park. Don't at me.
Oh, no. There's better ones.
Whoa.
I've been to Disney
I know
World
you are.
numerous
That's why
times
you
now.
are. You go to Disney World by yourself, don't you?
No. I go with my brother. My brother and his family.
You don't just go to. You have never gone to Disney by yourself.
I've never gone ever to an amusement park by myself.
Whoa.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
I've taken.
I don't
either
like
a date
ups that
or
go
I've
down.
gone,
I don't
to
like
Disneyland.
spinning. I don't like spinning. I don't like up. I don't like down, and I don't like spinning.
Yeah, I'm
what I
not
do
all-
like
you
is a
love the
nice
Avatar.
ride. A nice ride through the planet, room by room. Certainly when it's 90 degrees out, climate controlled, giving a wonderful message of love and unity in a song that cannot be crowbarred out of your head.
Wow. Hot take.
But after 3.5 months, that'd be a problem. What do you got over there, Chris?
Also, you're eating the same thing like over and
gosh.
over again.
At
Like,
least you got some variety in Vegas.
although I don't know, the buffet's
You
back.
got variety in Disney World too.
Like what?
There are
Oh, I haven't been there in a while. I haven't been there in a while.
Epcot. How many countries are there? Food.
I don't know, man.
I'm telling you, Epcot is. Disney World is where to go. Vegas, I'd get bored of quicker.
At Rich Eisen Show, vote right now. Call us if you want to make your case. Early results, 54% Las Vegas. Pretty close.
You better you better pack a vault. 3.5 months in Las Vegas, Nevada. Oh boy.
Or go to Henderson. Like,
Matt Rhule's going to be joining us shortly. Again, Rich Lerner will be joining us shortly. We talked with Dan Wetzel of Yahoo about the top story from NASCAR, and it's kind of the top story in all of sports right now. We saw yesterday a day in which a driver in a NASCAR race, in Richard Petty's 43 car, I might add, wearing an I Can't Breathe Black Lives Matter shirt in Bubba Wallace, the hashtag of Black Lives Matter on the side of this car, that Bubba Wallace raced in a NASCAR race on the day that NASCAR announced the Confederate flag will no longer be welcome at its events. That is what we call a seismic shift. Now, prior to this announcement that you see on the screen, NASCAR saying that it's no longer welcome, we had Jimmy Johnson, the most decorated driver in the game, in the race game, perhaps of all time. I asked him what he thought about supporting Bubba Wallace, who he called a great friend, and then asked him the point-blank question about what NASCAR was formulating a statement to make about banning the Confederate flag from its events.
I think that we need to be more vocal. We need to soften people's minds and help them, and help motivate people to have a deeper learning to understand the injustices and the inequalities that are out there. So, and everybody is entitled to an opinion and a right, and I have an opinion and a right to have the stance that I do.
And that stance on the Confederate flag, what would that be, Jimmy?
I'd support Bubba, and I support NASCAR that the Confederate flag should not be up at our sites, be it our racetracks, embedded in our sport.
That's what Jimmy Johnson had to say, and we're waiting to hear from more drivers. We know that there is a member of the NASCAR truck world that is Ray Ciccarelli saying that he's out. We had Dan Wetzel on before. Wetzel had not, and Dan Wetzel of Yahoo Sports has been covering the sport for quite some time. Had never really heard of him, but he will certainly be talked about over the next couple of days. That's for sure. A very thorny issue, to say the least, but obviously I applaud NASCAR for making this move. And if you want a little bit more 2 cents on that, go to our YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show, about what I said in hour number 1. But I want to take a break right now because the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, Matt Rhule, is going to call us, and he's from the Tom Coughlin world, which means I think he called in 5 minutes ago. We'll get back with Matt Rhule in a second. Yeah, Matt Rhule is from the Tom Coughlin, I guess, if you will, coaching tree.
He's on.
Right? Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So the NBC audience will return in a couple minutes, and we'll bring Matt Rhule on. Should I tell my Tom Coughlin Hawaii story? Do you know this?
I believe
the
so.
Owners meeting, final owners meeting of Paul Tagliabue's career, now soon to be Hall of Fame.
Oh, the one
career.
in
Hawaii.
You're
they
going
go to
to
Hawaii.
Going to the spot, right?
Okay.
Remember this one. Yep.
The rotation for the owners meeting. There's one in Florida. There's one in Arizona.
Hawaii.
And then there's kind of an omnibus every now and then.
Big word order.
And so they chose. I don't know what Hawaii was. Tagliabue's retiring. Let's go to Hawaii. Go to Hawaii. It was unbelievable.
It was.
It was truly unbelievable. So, look, it's a plum assignment, not going to lie. Decided after I was doing my total access, going to get a massage.
Why not?
Go get a massage.
Do it.
Getting ready. I'm in the men's massage waiting room, sitting there in my terry cloth robe. There's like a Men's Health magazine to my right, a bonsai tree. You're hearing the music and all that stuff.
Setting the mood.
And I'm about 3 minutes from my massage starting. In strolls, in his own terry cloth robe, Tom Coughlin.
Not weird at all.
Just me and Tom.
And the music.
And the bonsai tree. And it's not awkward that we're reaching for the same Men's Health magazine. No, he asks me when my massage is. Could go in many different directions, this part of the conversation. I say to him, it's in a couple minutes, Coach. And he goes, mine's supposed to be starting right now. I wonder where the person is. And he strolls out to go to the front desk. Not on time. Masseuse or masseur. Not 5 minutes early for this massage. It was fantastic. I looked around. I wish there was another witness.
Nobody saw it?
But my person came in and started my massage. I did not know how it ended. I don't know how it ends. I can only assume the coach got his spa time in. But that was fantastic. No one could ever take that away from me, to use the NFL phrase. All right, Matt Rhule when we come back on the Rich Eisen Show. So our poll question at Rich Eisen Show, where would you rather be quarantined for 3.5 months? Disney World, where certain members of the NBA reporting community would be required to stay if they want full access to the players for 3.5 months, or Vegas, which apparently was being considered by the NBA for many of these months. Imagine you get your first gig in the NFL and it's in the middle of a pandemic as a head coach. That is what's happening with our guest here for the first time here on the Rich Eisen Show. Pleased to have this gentleman, head coach of the Carolina Panthers, Matt Rhule. How are you, Coach?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming here on this show. Do you have any take? You've got kids. Where would you rather be quarantined for 3.5 months? Las Vegas, Nevada, or Disney World?
I'd go to Disney World in a second.
Now, are you preparing for winning the Super Bowl by saying that line? So,
no, I think my wife and I just need a little bit of a break. So I think we would go to Disney World in a second. Oh, my goodness.
Hand the kids off to Mickey and say we'll be back in about 3 hours, pretty much. Something
Love
like
you
that.
guys. We'll be at Epcot Center for
we saw your kids at your introductory press conference. How old are they?
My son Bryant is 15, and then my daughters are 7, and then little Leona, she's about to actually turn 5 this week.
Oh my gosh! In a quarantine situation, I've got an 11.
They used to be so cute.
That's a great line. I have an 11, 9, and a 6-year-old at home, Coach.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, it's well planned out.
Yes, that's right. We're running through the Disney Plus offerings day by day, daily day. So what is your challenge right now? What's your, to use the coaching term, what is your challenge right now here in the middle of June, in the middle of everything?
I think it's just trying to build a team, trying to get to know people, trying to make connections, build some chemistry with a team that the 90 guys. I think I counted. I've met 20 of them, and so just knowing that if I was walking down the street and some of our players, key guys, were walking down the street, I might not even know who they were. So that's it's just so different, and especially for a guy like me, I'm probably a pretty relational guy. Just trying to make sure I find a way to connect, even in this unique time and space.
So when do you think, if you gave me your best guess, and I know coaches deal in certainties, so it's a difficult thing to ask, when do you think you see people in person? Best guess here. I think
when training camp starts, I put that in my mind. I'll lose my mind if I keep saying, well, could be this, it could be that. So I just plan out like, hey, I'm going to see everyone July 21st, and then if something happens before then, I'll be ecstatic, and if it ever gets delayed, I'll just deal with it as it comes. So, but I think in the sports world, we'll see what happens with the NBA and Major League Baseball. We're kind of seeing what happened in UFC and soccer across college football is getting back together. So I think we'll have a lot more information probably just as a society, even in 30 days.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you use the term lose your mind, Coach, because every coach I know is a control freak to the nth degree. Certainly professional football coaches are particularly that. And this is just one huge uncontrollable, just the biggest uncontrollable maybe in the history of controllables for sports. And the fact to use that term, I think, is interesting.
Well, it's funny, as a coach, I find myself, I've always said to my players, hey, control what you can control, what you can control, kind of teaching like that stoic mindset.
Yep.
And it's a lot easier to say to other people than it is to do to yourself, right? So all of a sudden now I get in the same situation, and I have to practice what I've preached, and I have to just sit there and calmly look at everything. And I really believe that every development has two sides. There's a good and bad to everything. So just trying to find the positives, just trying to find the ways in which, maybe someday I'll look back and say, hey, that was really cool that happened, or it was good that it happened in that way. So it's not easy, but I think it's what we all have to do.
So in the meantime, let's try and figure out what it may be, and what is this Carolina Panthers team going to look like with you now in the mix, and Joe Brady, who was easily the most sought-after assistant from the collegiate ranks, with McCaffrey all signed, sealed, and delivered in an unprecedented manner. Teddy Bridgewater being brought in. What is this team going to look like? What can you tell Panthers fans what it will look like?
I think we're going to be an exciting team on offense. I think Joe has a great system. He learned under Sean Payton, in New Orleans. He did a great job at LSU. We're excited about Teddy, and we have a young group of receivers: Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, former first-round draft pick, went and got Robbie Anderson in free agency. You mentioned Christian. We think he's someone that can do so many different things. So I think a lot of our experience, a lot of the guys that have played a lot of football are on that offensive side. So we'll have to get some timing and put some things together. But I'm excited about where those guys are. And then, I think defensively, we had some key veterans, that we built around, and KK Short, who's been an All-Pro, and Shaq Thompson, Trey Boston, and then went out and we're the first team that ever drafted all defensive players in the draft. And so, so just I think we're going to be a young group, a fun group. You mentioned Joe. We only have one player on the team that's older than Joe Brady, and Joe's 30 or 31. So we'll be young. Hopefully, we'll be a fun team to watch, though.
Well, I know, and again, we had Christian McCaffrey on at the Super Bowl, and he's no wallflower, but he was kind of at the time, and you'd just been hired, Matt Rhule here on the Rich Eisen Show, asking him the same question, and he kind of shrugged his shoulders and lamented the loss of people who were pillars of the locker room and the franchise, from obviously Luke Kuechly, who had just retired for reasons that were beyond his control, and Greg Olsen, then obviously Cam Newton. So what about that? As you're talking about everybody socially distant right now, that aspect of things for you walking into the first year here.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have great players like all the men that you mentioned, and even more, we lost a lot of great defensive linemen and players on the other side of the ball. It's hard, because you so appreciate like what they've done, you appreciate the way that they did it and who they are. But this is one of those games that you look back at the past, you appreciate it, but you got to keep moving forward. And Luke's going to work for us now, and I remember when he told me he was leaving, he's like, "I'm sorry. I'm sure you took this job thinking, I was going to be one of your guys, and I'm having to leave." But at the end of the day, that's part of life. That's part of this game. And where one chapter closes, I think there's some guys that we really are excited about that it's going to be their opportunity. Some young draft picks, we're excited about their opportunity. And I'm one of those guys that I just say to myself, hey, I just want to make sure that everything we're doing is pointing towards the future. And I think the fun part about that is we should be a fun team to watch. We're not the most veteran team, but we got a lot of young guys that are going to kind of try to go do it the right way. And now it's Christian's turn, and it's Teddy's turn, and Russell Okung's turn to, kind of be our leaders. And, Trey Boston and Shaq Thompson, it's their turn, and I think they're going to be ready for it. Yeah,
I know, especially since, they'll have to be in a division that Tom Brady just joined. You want to talk about veterans, Matt Ryan, and obviously Tom Brady and Drew Brees, and teams that have two of them who have made the Super Bowl in their time. Obviously, Carolina has as well. But my point is, Bridgewater being and I love the kid. He's 27, but he's a grown man. I know what I'm going to ask will sound like Bridgewater doesn't deserve this. I think he does. It's a great opportunity for him, and he beyond deserves it. But he is replacing somebody who said, I wanted to be entertaining and iconic when he arrived in Carolina, and he was. So I'll just ask you point blank, Coach. Was Cam Newton not a fit for you? Is that what happened with him?
No, I would never say that. I think Cam Newton's a great quarterback, and a great person, and a great leader. And his impact on the city of Charlotte, was tremendous, both on the field and off the field. So I just think, every decision has to be looked at like kind of in each time and space, and where we are right now, and kind of where we are as a team. We just felt like, hey, this is what we have to do, and this was the right decision for the team. And so, it's not ever any one thing. It's just, you have to make these decisions, which are hard, but you feel like, hey, this is what's going to be the best for us in the long run. And so, once we made that decision and we're able to get Teddy, as you said, I mean, he's 27 years old. He's taken a team to the playoffs. He's proven last year that he still has everything that it takes. And so we just felt like, what a great opportunity to get him in here for 3 years, on a 3-year contract. Let him be our quarterback. Yeah, fits our system. He knows Joe so well. They were both in New Orleans together, and see what he can do. And I've just been so impressed with him, really throughout these past weeks. As we're doing things virtually, he really loves the game of football, and when he talks about it, you see him light up, and you can see the people already on our team, responding to him. I think he's going to be really good for us. Okay,
before I let you go, Matt Rhule, when was the first time you met Tom Coughlin? Give me a good story on him. What do you got for me?
Oh man, I don't know if I have a good Tom Coughlin story.
Oh
no! I'm still so afraid of it. I'll give you my best Tom Coughlin story. So I decided to take the Temple job. So I'm there and I'm working for Coach Coughlin, and I take the Temple job. And he comes in my office and he says, "You take it? You taking this job?" I said, yes, sir. I'm going to take the Temple job. He kind of gruff, okay. And he says to me, he says, well, you better finish out the season. I said, yes, sir, I will. So that night's the Christmas party, and the Maras and Tish family Christmas party and Giants party. And Mrs. Coughlin, Miss Judy, who's one of the most wonderful women in the world, walks up and she's like, oh, we are so happy for you. Tom is so proud of you. And I was like, which Tom are you talking about? And I said, he did look like he wanted to go up one side of me and down the other. She said, oh, you know how Tom is, but he's really, really proud of you. And that's really who Tom Coughlin is. People see him one way, but he's just an amazing, amazing guy. And I'm blessed to have worked for him.
He was, did I hear you say that you're still a little afraid of him? Did I hear that?
Oh, there's no. When he calls, I straighten up. I adjust my shirt. And
Me too.
I say, yes, sir.
Oh, he always sat in the same spot at the combine every year, right there on the 10-yard line. He wanted that 10-yard split at the 40. No one was moving him off that spot. And
right.
and I my job as the host of NFL Network evolved with Twitter and social media to try and give fans an opportunity to get behind the scenes. That was the name of the show. It still is on NFL Network, called Total Access. So I felt, hey, look, this is the event that few fans have access to. So I started taking pictures of what's going on in the stands. And I had the temerity of training this is how long ago it was, BlackBerry on Coach Coughlin. And he looked at me and said the following, come on, Rich, you're better than that. And to this day, I still have, flashbacks to that moment. When he said that to me, I'm like, oh no, that's no good.
That's awesome.
So I know exactly. Hey, Coach, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. And again, you still are not, the question I asked you at this year's Combine as we quickly cross paths, you are not wearing a vest? The Baylor vest is not coming to the NFL?
No, I think that retired quickly.
Is that because it's not NFL issued, or you're just like, you know what, that was then, this is now?
Yeah, it's funny. I did it last year at Baylor. Kind of I did it as a little thing with the team, and it kind of grew and became a big deal. And at the end of the year, had I stayed, I was going to auction it off and give the money to charity, and hopefully a Baylor fan would pay some money for it. And then it had kind of run its course. So I showed up in Carolina, and they had one made for me, and I said, no. That was a one and done. So unless I change my mind or something happens, I think I'll just kind of look like everybody else.
Well, Coach, let's keep in touch. Really appreciate it, and good luck with the next few weeks. And I cannot wait to talk football. I cannot wait to talk some football. Same here. Thank you. That's Matt Rhule. You got it. That's the head coach of the Carolina Panthers right here in the Rich Eisen Show. So count him down for a Disney World in our poll question.
Done.
And again, Cam Newton. I think. Here's the, I think, obvious truth. He's new here. Matt Rhule's new here. Have no idea, in a way, or you have an idea that Cam is hurt. He might not be hurt. He may be ready. He may not be ready. Joe Brady and him, didn't Daniel Jeremiah basically say that wasn't the proper fit?
Yeah, it wasn't a scheme fit.
Even though Cam is one of the best quarterbacks that we've seen in the last 10 years. Man, his 2015 season was transformational, okay? But he's coming in, Matt Rhule, and he's just like, I got my guys, I got this, Joe Brady, and I've got an owner that is willing to just say, let's go. Start from scratch. And I hope it works out for him. And in terms of a guy that knows to take something from the ground up, he showed it in Baylor. That's why he's got a shot. And other than Lincoln Riley, hottest coach in college for anybody to go get.
No doubt.
Anybody. And Joe Brady was easily the hottest offensive assistant, or any assistant in college, to go to the pros. 844-204-RICH number to dial. We are going to take your phone calls on the other side of this break on our youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show feed. To keep watching us, join us right there, because on NBCSN, The Impossible Games, a live track and field event. Live from Oslo, Norway, the men's 1,000-meter race just minutes away on NBCSN. Akbar, your first pitch in Philadelphia is such the stuff of legend.
Yes.
That it's received a documentary treatment from the ultimate in sports documentaries.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, it has it.
Check it out.
Wow.
What if I told you throwing out the first pitch at a baseball game isn't as easy as it looks? That many have spent the rest of their lives regretting their trip to the mound. What if I told you a former professional football player who used his speed, strength, and agility was about to have his hard-earned athletic reputation shattered in only a few seconds by a tiny little baseball?
I was so fired up when I heard Akbar was throwing out the first pitch. I mean, I had visions of the big man going out there, throwing a frozen rope, and the crowd chanting, "Ah!" Didn't exactly work out that way, though. I mean, how hard can it be? Rich Eisen threw a strike. The guy's not even a punter. Not even an athlete.
Did you see the Philly Fanatics reaction? That was awesome.
From ESPN Films' critically acclaimed documentary series, 30 for 30, it's Akbar's First Pitch, presented by LensCrafters Prescription Eyewear, Friday at 8 p.m.
Presented by LensCrafters.
That was good. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's my new favorite movie of all time. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Okay, first off, I'm a huge fan of 30 for 30. And I would like to think of myself as a person that deserves one, but I don't. To get Dennis crying. Oh my god. Here we go. Amazing.
What if I told you?
Oh my gosh.
I told you.
That was bad.
Was Shawshank
participating in this?
I thought it was real. I didn't know.
Oh my goodness.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Oh my God.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
And I'm like, hey, everybody, I'm current.
Download and podcast at richeisenshow.com.
You know what I am? Knowledgeable, sage, and
all right,
also the host of this show.
At Rich Eisen Show right now.
Earlier on the show, Yahoo sports columnist Dan Wetzel, Atlanta Hawks head coach Lloyd Pierce, Carolina Panthers head coach Matt Rhule. Coming up, Golf Channel host Rich Lerner. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Okay, everybody, our final hour right here. It's back just us again here on our YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. We're pleased to be here with you. And Rich Lerner of the Golf Channel going to be joining us from Charles Schwab Challenge. It's not the Charles Schwab Challenge, according to the PGA. He's joining us from Fort Worth, Texas, as golf is back. And a couple people have been waiting for a while on our phone lines. I want to get to them, and I want to check on our poll question. And boy, howdy, is there some housekeeping from yesterday's show. Oh, boy, howdy. Put a pin in that. Put a pin in that. And I don't want either of you going on your social media. And I know, Chris, you do it for work. Mike, you do it because whatever I talk about or I talk about with Chris, you sometimes check out on and go and do some Facebook and Doug the Pugging and stuff like that.
I love Doug the Pug.
I understand that.
You know that.
You may not go on. Don't you dare.
All right, so let me close this out.
Don't, because there is some serious. Do not go on social media.
All right, I'm off.
All right.
There is some serious.
We're off.
Instagram
updating and housekeeping from yesterday's poll question to hit. Don't you dare look.
All right.
Let's go to the phone lines at 844-204-RICH. Some gentlemen have been waiting for quite some time. Let's go to Trey in Richmond, Virginia, here on the Rich Eisen Show. He's been calling and hanging on for well over an hour on 844-204-RICH. What's up, sir? Oh, no.
He's on.
He's there. Put him back on hold. Put him back on hold. Let's go to Ryan in Portland, Oregon. What's up, Ryan? Line two. Is that 2
Hey, Rich. How you doing?
What's up, Ryan? What's on your mind?
Good to talk to you. Hey, Del Tufo, Brockman.
What up?
Hey, buddy. Herbert's the man. So I was just going in regards to the driver that had withdrawn from the campaign. And
Ray Cicerelli, the NASCAR truck.
Ray
Truck
Cicerelli in the third league of, which the sponsor now is ambiguous, but it's very low tier, and he has a career record of 0-32 and never placed in a pole position. So subsequently, it seems that he has never been good at race-related activity. And I think it's really a benefit that he's weeded out, because everyone keeps speaking in terms of, I don't want to get involved too deeply in the political and social justice spectrum as a white man like yourself. However, weeding out the bad apples keeps being a mantra that's being spoken around. And if he's weeded out because he's too offended, I don't think anyone's going to miss him, and NASCAR's better off for it.
Well, you know what? Again, he is giving voice to what a lot of fans believe. You obviously don't believe it. I don't. And even though he may, I don't know if you were being coy when you said he's not good at race-related activities.
That was an intentional pun, dude.
Okay, and I picked up on it. And so, be that as it may, and he may be insignificant in terms of race-related activities as in actually behind the wheel of a truck. I would be stunned if his name isn't well-known by a ton of people, or his name does not show up on political Twitter feeds by the end of the day. I would be absolutely stunned if that happened.
He's become a pundit and a voice and give some sort of relevance, but really he's partaken in 3 races total in the past 3 years. So it's a reach.
No,
but I understand what you're saying.
No, and I know, but as I said, and thank you for the call, as Dan Wetzel said in the first hour of the show, he does personify what a ton of fans of NASCAR feel. And once fans are let back in, let's just say they go for the rest of this NASCAR season with no fans, and just like everybody else that we're expecting, knock on wood, that we are allowed to see events in person, or we all feel safe seeing events in person by when? Let's say the next Daytona 500, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
It'll be great.
Super Bowl?
Well, I'm talking about NASCAR.
Oh, right.
And it'll have been months since this conversation had happened. And it may not be on the political radar anymore. But when fans return, this is going to be significant. This is going to last a long time, and Ray Cicerelli's just giving voice to that. Let's see if we can get Trey in Richmond, Virginia back. Trey, you there?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I had the phone on mute there.
It's all good, man. We're always mindful of people. When they don't answer the bell the first time, we'll give them one extra shot. And then if not, then Del Tufo will immediately excise you from future programs. That's the way we roll.
Well, that's much appreciated, man. Well, what I wanted to do is give you kind of an analogy. I live in Richmond, Virginia, which was known as the capital of Confederacy a long time ago, and we have a lot of Confederate statues and things like that. And it just reminds me of, like, say at the end of World War II, after the Nazis lost and everything, but instead of eviscerating everything to do with them, they instead raised statues to leaders of the Nazi section, and they said it was okay to wave that Nazi flag in light of heritage, not hate. You know what I'm saying? And I hope I'm not offending you with this, because I feel like maybe that's the closest analogy, maybe that someone would understand how we feel about the flag. And I'm sorry, I am an African American male speaking to you right now.
Okay.
But I feel it's a pretty good analogy of the way we kind of feel about that flag.
Well, and I appreciate you chiming in, and you were not offending me at all. And I totally understand that you're trying to put it in perspective of a symbol that is associated with hate and mayhem, and I appreciate you saying that. Thank you for the call, Trey. Appreciate
all right,
that.
Thank you.
You got it. That's Trey in Richmond, Virginia. And I appreciate you getting those guys on the phone line. They've been hanging out for a while. Rich Lerner is going to be calling in from an actual live sporting event. How about them apples? That's going to be coming up soon. Christopher, our poll question yesterday.
Yep.
What was our poll question yesterday?
Yesterday was the 13th anniversary of The Sopranos finale.
Correct.
So we just kind of threw it out there. Do you think Tony got killed in the final scene by the members-only jacket guy?
Correct. And what did I say?
You said yes. You believe Tony did get shot.
And you said
by the...
you said no, correct?
I kind of think no.
Okay. And I said it was a no-brainer, open and shut situation. And so many other people were like, you know what? The David Chase was just, leaving it wide open just for your own interpretation, right?
Right.
Okay. And I interpreted it one way, and you interpreted it another way. Sure. I asked Judd Apatow, an actual bona fide lead pipe wielding professional director, screenwriter, producer, what he thought. And he was talking about the art of it all. And I said to him, no, this is a sports talk radio show, and you must give me an answer. There's no nuance. There's no gray. It's either one or the other. And he said he's dead, which is what I thought. Why else would there be 6 to 8? How long? How many seconds? 6 to almost damn near 10 seconds. Why else would there be that many seconds? Well, according to The Independent, which is a publication, they have an interview that has been leaked. The interview was conducted by two of the biggest pop culture people that's out there, Matt Zoller Seitz and Alan Sepinwall. We've heard of both of them, okay?
Yeah, they have a book, right?
They have co-wrote The Soprano Sessions with David Chase. Did this interview. David Chase, he's the guy who wrote it, directed it.
Got to read the whole thing? I know where you're going.
Yep. Now, you said he's still alive, Tony, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I said, no, there's no question he's dead. And why else would David Chase do what he did? So, the question was placed to David Chase about whether the mob boss gets whacked had been left up in the air. Okay? And David Chase said, basically, that there was an end point. He goes, you don't mean Tony at Holston's. You just meant, I think I have 2 more years worth of stories left in me, says Sepinwall, right? Chase answered immediately, yes, I think I had that death scene around 2 years before the end. Tony was going to get called to a meeting with Johnny Sack in Manhattan, and he was going to go back through the Lincoln Tunnel for this meeting, and it was going to go black there, and you never saw him again as he was heading back. The theory being that something bad happens to him at the meeting, but we didn't do that. Zoller Seitz instantly highlighted the slip, saying, quote, you realize, of course, that you just referred to that as a death scene. Chase answered, quote, unquote, I can't quote it directly, but the quote is, F you guys.
They didn't do it.
Phone drop.
No, he didn't do it. Read
Mike,
that quote.
Mike,
that does not say he was going to have him.
Mike, he referred to it as the death scene. The death scene.
Nope, I am not
He
taking
referred
that
to the final scene of The Sopranos as the death scene.
I mean, you can read the rest of the article.
You can read the rest of the article.
The next line of the article says,
says
it's important to note that Chase does well to ensure that the ensuing exchange ends up leaving Tony's fate in the air.
Correct. Exactly.
Right.
His
Let me
fate
ask you a
is in
question.
the air.
No. Okay, great.
The air.
Let me ask you a question.
The air.
Have you ever worked in a supermarket before?
I did.
Great.
I worked at Target.
Okay. So have you ever cleaned up on an aisle?
I did.
I have as well.
Yes. Sure. We all.
You know what cleaning up looks like? Have you ever tried to hide something from somebody and you're called out on it?
Yeah.
You don't have, your child hasn't done it yet. Okay, your child hasn't done it yet. Your child is too young.
Not yet.
Your child is too young. But your child is going to call you out on something. And you may not have the same actual verbal reaction as David Chase, but you're gonna. You're not going to say the same thing. What do you say to a friend when you're trying to hide something, not reveal a secret, and then you let something slip, and the friend goes, you realize you just let it slip? What's your reaction? You say what David Chase said.
No, he's mad because they're insinuating that.
No,
he's mad.
He is
I
not.
take it the other way. He's
This
mad.
is not a different version of interpreting what the black 6 to 8 seconds means. He's saying we came up with a scene.
With a death scene that he didn't use. We
he
didn't do that.
use, but he referred to a different scene that they did use as the death scene. We came up with the death scene.
But you see, if he was going in to meet Johnny Sack in the original one, then I might agree with you. He didn't do that. He says, but we didn't do that.
Yeah, he says, I think I had that death scene, meaning
that was going to be the
one,
way,
the
yes.
tunnel scene, and that was going to be a death scene. Then he ended up not using it.
We are not taking the L.
You are taking the loss. David Chase.
No.
David Chase says, quote unquote, yes, I think I had that death scene around 2 years before the end.
That death scene.
He's
talking
talking
about the
right,
Johnny
he's talking
Sack
about
meeting.
the tunnel meeting.
The tunnel meeting after. Yes, I get that one. Yes, but the second one.
It's set up. When you said there was an end point, you don't mean Tony at Holson's. You just meant I think I have 2 more years worth of stories left in me. And he goes, yes, I think I had that death scene around 2 years before the end.
So you're emphasizing the wrong word.
No,
you're emphasizing death.
death.
You need to emphasize that.
That.
I think I had that death scene around 2 years before.
Brockman's got it.
Open and shut
That's
yesterday.
how I'm
Open
interpreting
and shut
this.
today. This is incontrovertible evidence. Look it
Oh,
up.
I don't know about that.
I
big
did.
boy.
I looked at it. I read it.
I
I saw
don't know.
there's 3 of them.
F you guys. Not like, come on, guys. I said that death scene referring to the Johnny Sack scene that I didn't use. He's not the F you guys, like, you just caught me.
He could have been like, F you guys. Come
Wait,
on.
you think the F you guys is like, you caught me?
You caught me?
Correct.
No, not even close.
Like, F you guys. I'm done with this conversation.
I'm done with this
He's not done with this conversation.
I'm with Brockman. That's how I read that. I read that as
I mean,
F
you got to
guys.
hear the tape.
All right.
Until we hear the tape,
I
we'll
wanna see
never
it.
know.
We'll have to see it.
We'll never know.
The eyes don't
Now
lie.
I know. We're
Tony's
booking one
lying.
of these 2 guys tomorrow.
The eyes don't lie.
We're booking one of these 2 guys tomorrow, and we're gonna talk inflection. We're gonna talk
Exactly.
about
I want to see it.
setup. We're
The
gonna
eyes
talk
don't
about
lie.
all of it. These guys are available. I think we've had Matt.
Yeah, I think we did.
I think we've had Matt Zoller's sites on this show before.
I think we
over
did.
Another pop culture.
Yeah. That name's very
That's
familiar.
it.
I know the name anyway.
We're done with this. I don't even want to book these guys because I'm so sure of it. But just
But
to
you see, they're on your
mollify
side, though.
you 2 jamokes.
We think they're on your side based on what we've already read.
No, they could easily say what you can posit your theory because you're trying to read into this in the same way that I look at the picture of Rudy and I see.
You can't read into an actual fit picture. That's what really happening. That's the difference, Rich, when he's carried off the field. It's not.
Why do you always have this photograph ready, Don?
It's just like boom.
That's
it's
his
like
desktop.
boom right
He
there.
just
It's
goes
like
to the
boom.
that's his desk. He has that on the desktop.
The other thing is, though, you need to let me write the question for you because I've been around you a long time.
We know.
You are really good at leading the witness.
These are 2 dynamite authors with diamonds for a brain They're not going to sit here and do anything except answer the question as it's asked.
Exactly. As it's asked.
No.
You need to ask it in the manner in which it's objective.
Do you
have to be very.
think
I say Brockman asks the question.
David Chase gave up the secret? How did he tell you to go F off?
And if he goes, yes, that's his opinion.
Okay, but that's it. Those 15 words, it's all you're allowed to say.
No, it's not. I'm a host of a show. I have an interview.
No, because again, you lead the witness.
They might not even come on because this is a leaked interview from their their book. Like,
well, it's all over now. It's all over the news now.
Let's see how it goes.
You know why it got leaked? You know, I got leaked because we talked about it on yesterday's show.
We talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it.
13-year anniversary of the moment. And all of a sudden, this comes out today, and it absolutely backs up my play. Period.
That's how you interpret it because you already have that opinion.
The final scene is the death scene.
No. He refers to that scene that they didn't use.
Yes.
They didn't use why?
I'll give you.
Hold on.
Because he didn't want to end it.
Rich Lerner's busy right now, and he'll come to us.
I read a script for Godfather Part 3 where Michael Corleone was going to get shot in the church at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert.
Whoa.
They did not do that. If Francis Ford Coppola was interviewed and said, in that scene where he was going to get shot, like that, it's a different. And I get the goes to black in both of the things.
Brockman. Shark Tank Del Tufo showing up. He's not helping your case
Mike,
at all right now.
Just let me handle
this. None of that helped. None of that helped, okay? None of what he just said just helped. Like, literally, I feel like I'm Kevin O'Leary telling him to call his mother.
It's that
Hold on
scene.
a second. Hold on a second. He comes up with a scene. It's not the one that airs, right?
Yep.
He comes up with a death scene.
2 years earlier.
2 years earlier.
2 years in advance of the 13-year anniversary of last night.
Yes.
He says he came up with a death scene. Okay? To show, yes, he had 2 more years left of writing. So 2 years earlier, he came up with a death scene that he goes to see Johnny Sack in Manhattan. And it goes black in the Lincoln Tunnel to show something bad happened to him.
That's the theory.
That's what the theory. That's the death scene you say he's referring to. Let me just even give you that. Let's give you that he's not referring to what aired on The Sopranos 13 years ago last night.
In the Holstons.
Let's just say he's referring to the scene that he did not use as the death scene. Correct? He's referring to this scene as something bad happened to him because the screen went to black. It happened in the Lincoln Tunnel after he had a meeting that went south with Johnny Sack in Manhattan. But the scene that was the death scene ended with a whole bunch of black, thus indicating something bad happened to him. So remove the Johnny Sack, remove the location of the Lincoln Tunnel, put in instead of Johnny Sack, members only jacket guy, and put in instead of Lincoln Tunnel, the diner. The going to black still in David Chase's construct meant something bad happened to him, meaning the death scene. Excuse me.
2 years earlier, maybe he changed his mind.
Step down.
Maybe he changed his mind.
Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe he said,
2 years earlier, black meant this, but in 2 years from now, black meant this. I don't know. You interpret it.
You interpret it.
And
he didn't like that. He didn't want people to think that.
When he's like, you do know you referred to what we saw on the air in the diner as the death scene, he goes, F you guys, meaning like what you say to your friends, get out of here.
No,
you just got me.
No. I took that as...
Don't do that to me. When you know I want to keep this a secret. I respect you guys. You respect me. You respect my work. You're writing a whole damn book on it. F you guys. That's what this means.
I think that F you guys is, I've been having to answer this question for 10 years. I'm 13. Sick of it. F you guys. Like, I'm over this. I'm leaving. Like, You interpret it. I didn't give anything away.
844-204-RICH. Somebody save me here. How do you not take what I've just said as gospel? I'm not just saying because I've said it.
Well, Rich, I interpreted what you just said as meaning I should take what you say as gospel.
Yeah.
You see see what I did there?
F you guys. I know everyone in the 454s enjoy it when I work blue.
I love it.
As I did yesterday. I can't believe that word slipped out of my mouth. Is Rich Lerner out there? Does he exist? Do you mind, guys, seeing if he's out there to give a call?
Adam's trying.
In the meantime here, it's the 50th anniversary of the passing of Billy Batts.
Yes.
From Goodfellas. The real Billy Batts. The date was actually used in Goodfellas.
Yeah, they used the same one. Yeah.
Keep him here.
We can all agree on there's no gray area in Goodfellas, right?
No, not at all.
All-time great.
Although the one gray area of Goodfellas, there's one gray area that has been discussed, although it's not on the level of this. When Tommy De Niro tells Karen, go for the dress.
Jimmy,
pardon me.
Yeah,
Jimmy says De Niro tells Karen to go for the dress.
Right.
Karen,
are they going to make a hit?
Are they going to get her?
Are they going to get her?
Karen's
she's like, I don't need the dress.
Yeah. She's getting nice.
That was kind of a gray area.
Don't you think?
Well, you don't
really know.
This is the conversation.
Yeah.
But you think so, right? You think
that one I don't know.
Those guys looked like they were waiting for her
that one
to come
I don't
in.
know. It's like, what are you sending? You're sending a message to
There's nothing
Henry
in that
Hill
room.
if you're killing his wife?
In that room except the two guys. No.
Well, because you think she could talk.
That's a hit.
They just think she would talk.
That's a hit. Those guys were in there. They were lurking around. No, that's a hit. I think she's gone. She walks in that door.
All right, Bill in Florida. Let's take his phone call. What's up, Bill?
I'm voting in favor of Rich because scene went to black, and there was a premonition in the lake scene with the brother-in-law. They were talking about what it would look like when it's all over, and they said it goes black. So he was killed in the final scene.
Thank you, Bill. Bill, you sound like a very reasonable individual. I got to be honest with you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so simple.
It is simple.
Take care.
The guy said 2 years ago I came up with a death scene. It ended in black to indicate that something bad happened to Tony. Remove the fact that he didn't use Johnny Sack and he didn't use the Lincoln Tunnel. Maybe he didn't lose. You know why he may not use the Lincoln Tunnel? They couldn't get it that day. They just couldn't get it that day, or it was just too much of a hassle to shut down the friggin' Lincoln Tunnel to shoot it in there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use this diner that we can control, and we'll go to black and leave the same issue. Does he die or not? We're referring to this as the death scene. Guys, take the L. I took so many losses in succession last week from Rudy being more factual than Hoosiers to my favorite sports movie. Don, why do you always have this photograph to pull up like literally in seconds?
Boom. Don, I love the fact that he has this ready to go.
It's a good TV.
If that's
back
not
there.
your screen, your desktop or your screen.
That Rudy's more factual, that the director of both films said Rudy is way more factual than Hoosiers. As a matter of fact, Hoosiers is almost completely made up.
Marshawn Lynch is getting my ball here. We're not giving this hell up.
The loss I took that Gene Hackman himself, Coach Dale himself, thought the movie sucked. As they're shooting it.
That movie was great.
I will never look at that montage scene again the same way, where Dennis Hopper's laughing.
I know.
And you're thinking, David Anspaugh, the director's like, okay, Dennis, act like you're all happy because things are all hunky-dory with Hickory, and you're coming back, and your story is you're getting over, you're being sober again, right? And instead, he's laughing, according to David Anspaugh, getting it from Dennis Hopper shortly before Hopper's death, that Hopper was laughing to an offhanded comment that Gene Hackman's making that they will never work again after this movie's out.
That same article that you quoted,
yes,
a little further down said, later in the book, David Chase added, the point is that he could have been whacked in the diner. We all could have been whacked in a diner.
Whatever.
That was the point of the scene.
Oh, my
There you go.
Fine.
I mean, it's just facts. Facts slip your mind sometimes. I'm just here to fill them in.
All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Let me just say this, and then we can move to Rich Lerner, who I believe is on the phone line, okay? He is invested in having this be the question mark forever. Forever.
Oh, of course.
All right? Until he wants to, like, maybe leave some sort of certainty at some point. He knows what happened.
Of course.
He doesn't want to reveal what happened. He inadvertently revealed what happened and cursed at the guys who pointed it out to him. It's that simple. And we're going to try and get one of those two guys on tomorrow's show. Okay? Now then. Rich Lerner of the Golf Channel joining us from an actual live sporting event. Right, Rich? There's an actual live sporting event going on where you are, correct?
Ooh. I am in Orlando, Florida. Nice to be with you, Rich. Hope you're well.
Good to chat with you, Rich.
Yes.
So you are not at the event that's going on right now.
No. The event is in Fort Worth, Texas, otherwise known as Schvittsville, USA.
It is that hot. I know that. He said Schwitz, Mike. He said Schwitz. These are two Jews talking here, okay? You can sit back there in New Jersey where you are. Don't worry. He said Schwittsville. Schwitz.
Who the greatest Schwitzer was in my lifetime in sports was one of my favorite basketball players of all time, a guy who went to Temple University, but in Philadelphia, was Moses Malone, who used to drip buckets at the national anthem.
No doubt.
Oh, Mo.
No. Okay, so, Rich, what are you hearing about what's going on the grounds there in terms of the players getting out there and protocols and things of that nature? What are you hearing about?
All good so far.
Good.
No one tested positive, all the caddies and the players. And now it's just about protecting this bubble. They're going to try to, advance this bubble from Texas, where corona cases are spiking, to South Carolina, where corona cases are also up. They're going to do it by charter plane. So the players are not only tested when they arrive on the grounds Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the tournament, they're also tested on the way out, and they will have to have tested negative to get on that charter plane and go to the next stop. So it's Fort Worth to South Carolina, Hilton Head. We think Tiger may play there. Then it's Hartford, Connecticut, and then Detroit, and then Ohio. So far, so good. The play's been excellent. Conditions are good. It doesn't look like players were sitting idly the last 3 months.
Okay, so let's unpack this one at a time here. When you say charter flight, you saying all the players get on the same plane? Is that what you're saying?
They can sign up for the charter, or they can fly privately. And obviously, in today's world, as lucrative as the prize money is, quite a few players will travel privately. But again, they'll be tested on the way out of town to get on that charter. But then even if they fly private, they'll be tested again when they get back to the next stop.
Correct. So do we know what tests are being used?
My understanding, it's a nasal swab, and the results are turned around very quickly. And I think that's the key. Every sports league has said that. It's testing, and then from there it's social distancing. So you're seeing some caddies are wiping down flag sticks and bunker rakes and things like that. Hand sanitizers on the golf course. And obviously no fans until we get to Memorial about a month from now. That's Nicklaus's tournament. And even there will be a limited number of fans. No fans is obviously bizarre. I think you'll feel that, see that more acutely on Sunday afternoon. There won't be that sort of pulsating energy that drives a sporting event in the latter stages. But for now, if you watch it on TV, it doesn't look that much different than any other Thursday in normal times.
So I got to tell you, Rich, I mean, I didn't, I was still, again, I was so jonesing for live sports action anyway. The Tiger, Phil, Brady, Peyton event had no fans, and I know that was kind of like a one-off, and it's for absurdly famous people showing off their competitive spirit and fun spirit together, and it was amazing being a fly on that wall. But I didn't miss the fans.
No.
I mean, I was still into the competition. And then before that, what was on, the NBC family of networks, when McElroy had to hit it closest to the pin, I was still locked in. That's the sort of stuff,
Yeah, no, look, no fans is better than no golf at all. And as you said, we're all sort of jonesing for live sports action. I mean, I think last week I watched a rerun of the 1992 World's Strongest Man competition, and it was oddly compelling watching Og Svindovlov pull an apartment building a full city block in Helsinki. But I hit a new low when I went with the 92 World's Strongest Man competition. So,
Rich Lerner, you know what? I got to tell you, when I was on SportsCenter, when I first started on SportsCenter, doing those 2:30 in the morning SportsCenters, what kept me awake, what kept me up and full of spirit and verve, and while there's maybe one sporting event left, was ESPN2 showing World's Strongest Man. And the fact that you did not use, I don't even know if that's a real name, that you might have just pulled that one, make it sound like it's a World's Strongest Man. Doesn't matter. But Magnus Vermagnusson was a real man. And by that, I mean like actual man. And he was all man. And just watching him lug large round stones all over the place got me through the night. I'll be very honest with you, Rich. Had helped me answer the bell of a sports center in the middle of the night.
Well, wasn't Magnus on a leaderboard at the British Open back in 1988?
He could have been.
Round, because there's always some obscure Scandinavian on a leaderboard at the British Open on the opening day.
I love it.
No, it's nice to have it back. They did I thought a very appropriate and powerful moment of silence at 8:46 local time this morning.
Okay.
We know the significance of 846 now with respect to what tragically happened to George Floyd, and I think that's certainly a theme that's running through sports now, and I would hope going forward. I think we like sports because it's an escape, right? And we need a little mental well-being right now because the country has not been well. We all need a little bit of an escape, but by the same token, I think we all agree we can't run away from these issues. They need to be dealt with, and I think athletes as much power and currency as they have in today's society, have a real chance to lead on this. We saw what LeBron has decided to do with voting rights. So. Golf has never been a leader in terms of inclusivity. I would say probably the same for NASCAR, but I think with what's happening there in the Confederate flag, and I think everybody's had a reckoning, and I think everybody's ready to really and truly deal with it. I certainly hope so.
Me too, Rich. And then in terms of obviously. You're talking about civil strife and race relations on top of a pandemic, and people trying to make ends meet. Getting sports back as any form of a distraction for sure. So again, on the COVID-19 front, I know Adam Scott says I'm staying put. He's not coming into the country from where he is. I mean, what are you hearing about other players maybe joining and when and what they need to see? Certainly, obviously, everybody showing up to the first testing negatively is a good start.
Right. I think some of the international players, Lee Westwood, Tommy Fleetwood from England, Adam Scott from Australia, I think are waiting to see how the first few events play out, and then they'll likely get on an airplane and come over here and get going. I mean, I think it's secondary, the race to the FedEx Cup, obviously, but these guys are making a living, and there are only 11 events between now and the start of the playoffs. So if guys want a piece of that pie, and it's a big pie, they have to get going now. And it's a brand new world out there. It's 3-month shutdown. This is the longest shutdown since World War II. And I think typically in our one thing America. I need to get too political. We're struggling to do things now, right? We're struggling to get healthy. We're struggling with elections. We're struggling to get stuff done. but America has always done sports really well. I mean, we do big games, big events, big golf tournaments. We do that like nobody's business, and we love it. And so, yeah, I think this can be. I think this can be really good for everyone, as long as it's done properly. There's a lot of pressure on the PGA Tour right now to get this thing right. And I think we sometimes forget that we're. I don't even know if we're out of phase one of the pandemic, or if we're in phase two. In other words, it's not gone away, and according to the experts, it's not going away anytime soon.
Yep.
So we all want to get some of this back, and I think we need to get back to work in the safest and best possible way. But there's pressure to get this right.
And I guess to bring it all full circle and put a button on it, Rich, we're just not going to take things for granted anymore. Just not going to take sports for granted anymore. And whatever we used to complain vehemently about, maybe we'll be a little bit more chill about, when it comes to sports. And I guess we'll know that for sure if at any point, certainly this weekend, Brooks Koepka is standing in the middle of the fairway looking at Bryson DeChambeau take his 19th look at a 2-foot putt, and he's like, take all the time you want. Then we'll know that, Rich, right?
By the way, did you see how Bryson bulked up? He's leading the tour now in driving distance. He put on, it looks to be 25, 30 pounds in the last, 6 months or so. He's driving it so far, and it's working. He had a good round today. And Koepka, by the way, has the Burt Reynolds 1970s mustache working.
Yes, he does. He's on a cannonball run. So do you think, Rich, that DeChambeau's bulking up to take Koepka on? Like, do you think maybe he's like, he's had enough of hearing from Brooks that he's bulking up?
It feels like a Triple H against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Maybe a ladder match between Bryson and Brooks. And
yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see.
Lord.
That'd be great. Again, we'll know again that it's just like, hey, I'm just glad to have golf back. Bryson, you take your time. I'll just be right here. I'll just chill out. No problem. That'll be great.
Bryson doesn't get after it. He takes his good old. He takes his good old time. And I will say this: in golf,
yes,
the only way you can get away with being a slow player is to win. They always said of Nicklaus. They never said Nicklaus was slow. They said he's deliberate.
Deliberate, yes.
That's
deliberate. Right. That's right.
And even Tiger, on occasion, has taken his sweet old time. But there's something about a great player taking his time, and it builds the drama. If you go back to probably the most often replayed putt in golf history is the better than most putt, Tiger Woods at the Players, what it was about almost 20 years ago, the one at 17 that, broke 4 different ways. He looked at that putt from 9 different angles, but it was a window into however long that took, 2 minutes. It was a really fascinating study of Tiger and the way he puts the puzzle together on a golf course. But almost very few are afforded that luxury of taking that kind of time and not being ripped for it, because we all hate slow play. It drives you nuts.
Well, Rich, I appreciate of the slow play, fast play. I'm just glad that there is play, and I appreciate you calling in, and let's chat soon.
And one of the few talk shows where I can use the word schwitz and know that it's going to be well received.
You should You should have looked at the face of my sound engineer, Mike Del Tufo. He thought, did I need to bleep that out? I'm like, no, he's just talking about sweating. It's schwitzing. Should have looked on his face. Thanks for the call, Rich.
Take care, Rich.
You guys, Rich Lerner. It's funny how he says that slow players, when they win, are deliberate.
Oh, yeah.
Coaches who are lenient are players' coach when they win.
Right.
When they lose, lack of discipline.
Lost the locker room.
But when they win, it's a players' coach. He knows how to handle the players.
Like Mike.
Right? Another one is a somebody who is left-handed is crafty. There's no crafty right-handers. There just aren't.
Never.
Podcast1.com is our home for getting our podcast, and our friends at Podcast One want me to let everybody know, and we appreciate Geico being one of our sponsors of the Rich Eisen Show, that they've got to give back for you to thank you for you sharing. Here's the Geico Give Back. A 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. And because Geico is committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for info and eligibility. Geico.com/giveback. Let's go to our Geico fan phone line. Seth in Florida, a 454, calling in from our YouTube wormhole. How are you, bud?
Oh, hey, Rich. Good afternoon. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for making it. Thanks for being out there on our YouTube stream, sir.
Absolutely, representing the 454 every day.
Attaboy. What's on your mind?
Hey, just quick shout out to Del Tufo, Brockman, and TJ, of course.
Excellent.
Hey, what's up,
I
Seth?
appreciate
What's happening,
the shout out to TJ because TJ monitoring the wormhole on occasion. We can hear him occasionally laughing with and then seething at. Anywhere in between, correct, right? Correct. Am I correct?
Correct.
You could tell
TJ
what TJ's working. So we appreciate TJ monitoring the wormhole every day. So what's on your mind?
Oh, no, just wanted to comment about Goodfellas at that scene at the end you guys were talking about.
Yes.
Where Jimmy gives Karen some money and then he tells her to go get some dresses down that little alley.
Correct. And?
Yeah, I think something was going to happen. I think you don't know when you really watch the movie, but if you notice, he doesn't follow her. He stands and watches from a distance.
Go right there. No, go right there. Go right there. Yeah, that's what he's doing. You know, I mean, by the way, Don Bowie's chiming in right there. Not too bad. He's trying to scare her. If he wanted to kill her, I mean, wouldn't he just whack her?
He scared her by giving her money and offering dresses?
Just like, you better be careful. Like, we can treat you right. We're treating you right. We're doing our best to treat you right, but be careful, right?
She doesn't come out of that store.
I think she disappears.
I mean, this is the guy that put carbone on a meat hook, right?
That's true.
Come on.
Still frozen.
Thank you very much.
It's okay.
By the way, one of my favorite scenes. That's Layla. No, Layla, right?
That's the end of Layla.
When they're all
Eric and the Dominoes.
Thank you for the call, Seth. Appreciate it.
What is your favorite Goodfellas scene, though? Because that's kind of what I was getting at with the Billy Bats anniversary.
My favorite Goodfellas scene, it's, obviously the Am I a Clown, Do I Amuse You is the greatest scene in Goodfellas. And because it's been talked about so much, it's now like, let's talk about something else because it's vogue to say that. But it still is the ultimate greatest scene in Goodfellas, where it shows you that Joe Pesci is off the rails and people are scared of him and they're laughing with him and all that. And again, it's great like that.
It's great.
All right. And that was the scene that everybody talked about.
Like I'm a clown, I amuse you.
Thank you. Like that was the scene everyone talked about after Goodfellas first came out. So now we kind of put that aside. Another amazing scene is the ultimate Scorsese shot of going into the club.
Yeah, Copa.
Going in the back, from the back, and you're following the table out front. And,
through the kitchen.
And it's one long, continuous shot. And
then the guy comes out of nowhere, flops down the table, and
well,
Karen
I think when
looks
the
at him
table
and
came out,
goes,
that might have been a little bit of Scorsese's artistry. That might have been, there may have been a cut right there.
Edit.
May have been an edit.
But then Karen goes, "What do you do?"
I mean, all of it. That is amazing. That is amazing.
I'm a union delegate.
I am also. I do love the final scenes with the helicopter flying overhead
because of that music.
It's a montage of some of the greatest rock and roll songs of all time.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Great.
And he's
Got
slamming
Rolling Stones,
on the brakes.
George
he hits
Harrison.
the e-brake. It's great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I am partial to any scene with Maury the Wigman. Any scene with Maury the Wigman, including the mock commercial to show how his wigs don't come off in the pool.
And he jumps backwards
Okay.
into the pool. Henry, I want my money. I love that.
So any scene with Maury the Wigman, the ultimate scene with Billy Bats, Go Get Your Shine Box, is remarkable. Leading to the conversation, the reason why we're discussing this today is Billy Bats' untimely demise. And that is special. I love the scene where the Lufthansa heist has been finally pulled off, and De Niro, Jimmy, they're all in the bar, and he is flipping out at how many people have bought stuff. Don't buy nothing, don't do nothing. And
mink coat.
This is the car's in my mother's name.
Right.
Jimmy, you don't understand. Take it out, get it out of here, get it out, get rid of it, don't do nothing, don't buy nothing. Like, that scene is amazing. Paul Sorvino is wonderful.
The cooking scene in the jail.
In the jail
It's amazing.
is great.
It's amazing. They bring in the lobsters
right.
and stuff. I mean, it's like,
that's great.
I mean, that's fantastic.
But if I have to give the silver medal, it's the poker scene, including Spider, who, as we all know, is a future Sopranos star.
Well, I never dug a hole before.
Okay.
Dance that drink
over here,
I mean,
Spider. Would you put me on the pay no mind list?
I mean,
okay.
Poker scene.
The poker scene.
We forgot about that one this morning.
Is truly next level. Now, there's a couple of poker scenes where he tells Spider tells Tommy tells Tommy off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he shoots him in the foot.
And then
the next time he that's when he tells him off after he's got shot in the foot. And we all know that Spider gets
then he tells him to go F himself.
wasted. I know he tells him off. I know. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's true.
My favorite Goodfellas scene, I would have to say, is in fact, it involves a host of great Scorsese actors. De Niro, Pesci. By the way, De Niro and Pesci from Raging Bull.
Yeah.
Together. So they were together for a long time.
Yeah, long time.
And his mother,
who's amazing,
who's been in a ton of his films. And his mother plays Joe Pesci's mom, and they go to her house to pick up some of the tools they need to carve up Billy Bats and have a meal, because the mother's like, sit down, have something. You gotta.
There's no Italian mother.
And then she's like, sit down.
Hey, come on,
gotta sit down, have something to eat. She whips something up. It's a full 19-course meal.
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night.
It's crazy.
My mother's refrigerator is insane.
And so
you can eat for 3 days.
And so you see, Tommy, who is a psychopath, is still a mother's son and has some ounce of humanity in him, even though he's asking his mother for a knife to carve up somebody who's in the trunk of a car, still alive, by the way.
Yes.
All right. And
the deer
still loving his mother and marveling over her artwork. And I think you can get this painting.
Yes, you can.
If you can, we've got to get it for our show studio. How do we not? How do we almost 6 years into the show and not have the painting?
You can get it. I know you can get it, because I almost
one
bought it
dog
for my
goes
house.
one way, one dog goes the other way, and this guy's in the middle
two.
saying,
We'll get two, because I'm
"What
going
do
to
you
get one
want
for my
from me?"
house.
I mean, that scene.
I'm getting it.
I don't know why
I'll
that
get it.
scene is one of my favorite. It's my favorite scene.
It's just a really cool.
We can get
it's
this
like
print
they're all
very
real
easily.
for a
Very
second. Like she talks to Henry.
One dog goes one way, one dog goes the other way, and this guy's.
I mean, they're mocking, they're joking about what they just did.
What do you want from me?
I mean, it's like, and she has no idea why they're like out doing what they're doing. It's great.
We can get this
And it just
very cheaply.
It just kills me.
And look at his.
It just kills me. I've
He
shown off
looks
my
like someone
love
we
of this
know.
film.
Yeah.
He looks like someone we know.
That I have a poster, a Goodfellas poster that I spent hard-earned American dollars on for a charity.
Out where you got it at.
Yeah, you got it.
At Warren Sapp's charity golf tournament.
It took. This is like you were David Chase right now, but we believe you.
Now,
You're actually telling us-
Warren may have hosted it, but I think it was. I should get Rosenhaus on the phone too. It was a Sapp Rosenhaus thing at the Super Bowl in Tampa.
Yeah, they got it from
prior to the Giants Ravens Super Bowl. I bought it. It was signed by Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese, and we had Ray Liotta on this show years ago, and he saw it in the hallway, and he said it was Fugazi. Actually, he said it was effing Fugazi. And I can't. It's just. I can't even. Literally can't even, as our friend Denise would say.
Denise.
No, let's just go to our friend Al in Dallas. Has been holding on forever. What's up, Al? You've heard everything.
With all due respect to my friends across the room for you over there, Tony, he's gone.
He is.
And there's nothing we can do about it.
There's not. That's right. He is a Goodfellas friend. He's gone. It was real greaseball, stuff.
Beef with the Italians.
Stuff.
That's right.
Oh my God.
He's gone.
So you're leaving out a big part. You're not leaving out a part. What makes Goodfellas such a tremendous movie? The entire scene when Henry Hill's a child.
Oh yeah.
I mean.
Right.
They carried my mother's groceries.
He gets whipped for bringing home bad grades. They grab the postman. They're like, you know this kid? Don't you ever bring mail to his house? And they stick his head in the pizza oven. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
I also forget.
Very believable.
I also forget Karen's Jewish mother giving Henry a piece of his mind, or a piece of her mind,
And
because
then
he
he
stayed
just
out
walks
too
right
late.
out the
And
door.
he walks right out, and,
Oh, yeah.
and Karen screams, "Ma! Oh, how do we forget about Janet Rossi in 4F?"
Yeah. Well, how about, hey, Richard, what beach club were they at in the South Shore? I mean, in the 5 Towns area. They were at her beach club, not his.
Or when he pistol whips the neighbor.
Oh yeah, gosh! And then hands her the gun. And then she got all. That's when she knew she was in. It's great.
It's such a great movie. Did you ever get any? I'm not saying restitution because that's not the right word, but resolution, because all those things are outsourced. Most of those things for those events. So I don't think Warren and Drew had.
No, they don't. No, they haven't. But we did get Al. We did get in here a boxing glove that was given to us when De Niro and Stallone had a movie out, right?
Was that the Grudge Match?
Whatever the hell that was, and we got.
Dude! I got the DVD.
And it was a
oh yeah, that's right.
De Niro signed boxing glove that was
you gave me the DVD sign.
It was totally certified that De Niro signed it, and it doesn't look anything like what's on my poster.
No.
Oh my!
But the Scorsese,
God.
if you look at Scorsese's signature online, it does look like what's on my poster.
So yeah,
so what it could be like, Scorsese could have signed it, and then somebody's like, let's jack it up a little bit and just take out a Sharpie,
and we'll dump it off on the charity thing. Oh, that's Richard. Before you go, I just want to say, the world's been a crazy place for the last 3 months, obviously, and you and the boys there have been doing a fantastic job of trying to keep it real per se.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you very much. It's been wonderful listening to you guys.
Thanks, pal. Appreciate it. That's our buddy Al in Dallas. Been known him so long. He used to be Al in Houston.
Yes.
And I always joked with him when he's calling about the Knicks that it was Al in Houston calling.
Actually, Al in Houston.
It was Al in Houston. Okay. Tomorrow's show is a really good one. And as always, the thing I love about it is we are all about being comprehensive. So, on tomorrow's show, Steven Jackson has agreed to call in.
Fantastic.
As we all know, he buried his friend earlier this week, George Floyd. Steven Jackson is going to be first up tomorrow. Then David Faraday will be calling in about what we're seeing today in golf. And then our buddy Mike Tirico, who we have been following on NBCSN for the last 2 months for Lunch Talk Live. We have not had him on in a long time, and I just wanted to connect with him. He will be on. And then my second favorite character from Billions.
He's not your favorite?
Wags, David Costabile.
Wags isn't your favorite?
No. He's 1A. 1B. Okay. 1A is Chuck Sr.
Chuck Sr.
Every scene that Chuck Sr. is in Billions, the actor Jeffrey DeMunn is
great.
just the only character I can equate him to is people who like Mad Men. Roger Sterling, played by our John Slattery. Yeah. Like every word out of his mouth. But David Costabile, who also it was Gale from the Breaking Bad world, and he made a quick cameo in Better Call Saul.
He did
at one point.
He did.
So David Costabile will be on, and then we got to add, I mean, that's the first thing we're going to do. As soon as we're done, we always get on a phone call as a group, and the first thing I'm going to say is get me Sepinwall or get me Seitz. Get me the guys who spoke to David Chase, and I want to end this thing. I want to end this thing, and I want the three things to be that these are the three things that will be inviolate, and I know Don, put the camera on those two jamokes when I say this.
Come on.
1, I want this to be as open and shut as possible. 2, I want it's inviolate. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Oh,
And
get out of
3,
here. Come on, get out of
Rudy
here.
is fake. Fugazi. As fugazi as my Goodfellas poster.
Don, please put it up, please.
There
we go.
Hey! I'll give you 1 out of 3 so you can make the Hall of Fame.
We'll put you. We'll
Hey,
give you
1 out of 3 does get you to
33.
Cooperstown.
Exactly.
You can have 1.
Yeah, we'll give you. Yep.
Hey.
As Steve Levy said, get out of town, and I mean it.
What a day.
David Chase called it a death scene. He said he was originally going dark because something bad happened to Tony. What's the matter with you people?
Don't
See you on Friday's show, everybody. Okay.